trippy. What's up, everybody? Tampering day. Tampering day. The NFL is genius. Some of which they deserve credit for. Some of which it's just because football is so good and they kind of got lucky. But starting free agency with the tampering period where the deals can't officially be done is genius. Because now you get not 1 day of it or 2 days of it or 3 days of it, you get a whole week. As evidence of today where, I'll be honest, I'm not surprised Saquon Barkley is an Eagle. I'm surprised that the Eagles were willing to pay top of market and get something done quickly. And that shows you they really wanted the player. There's a couple things I'm confused about here. The first thing that came out when DeAndre Swift got the 3 years, $24 million and $16 million guaranteed. So keep it in perspective, both him and Saquon Barkley essentially are 2-year contracts. The guaranteed money is 2 years for DeAndre Swift. It's $16 million. And Saquon is essentially the same thing, more guaranteed money, 26 guaranteed, but 3 and almost 38, that's like 2 years. So you're guaranteeing him the first 2 years of the contract, which is no surprise. But you paid the top of the market for it. And you probably had to do that. I'm surprised Swift made as much money as he did. $16 million. I like Swift. I think, I thought he had a good year last year. I ain't paying him $16 million guaranteed. That's for sure. So Saquon gets more guaranteed money than you thought, gets more money per year than a lot of people had thought. And the Eagles didn't try to wait the market out and say, hey, come back to us and, we'll see where we stand. Now, the Eagles were aggressive and they went out and they paid top of the market money to get Saquon Barkley. This was not a great deal by Howie Roseman as far as, man, you got a really good value. No, they got the player. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. Love the move. Again, it's 2 years. It's a 3-year contract. It's 2 years. And what you're doing is you're paying because you believe in this offense. You have a dynamic 3-down back. He's going to be on the field a lot. He's going to be a weapon out of the backfield as a receiver. He's going to run the ball a lot, and he's very good against the blitz, picking up the blitz in pass protection. He's a great blocker. He's an all-around great player, Saquon Barkley. Now, is there some risk to it? Yeah, of course. There's injury risk. I acknowledge it. Would I be surprised if he was nicked up or had a somewhat significant injury? No, of course not. You shouldn't be, at least. You should go into it saying, like, hey, listen, he has been injured in the past. And then is it possible he's just not as dynamic of a running back as he has been in some of his other years? A little bit of concern with that. He didn't even average 4 yards per carry last year. Now, I'm going to chalk some of that up to their offensive line being terrible and him playing with Tommy Cutlets and Daniel Jones before that. So overall, here's why I love Howie Roseman as the Eagles GM. He looks at this team and he says, all right, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. God, I would love for them to upgrade that other wide receiver position. Maybe they can do it in the draft. Maybe there's a good bargain that's out there in free agency. Maybe there's a trade. And now you add Saquon Barkley to Jalen Hurts. And the most important thing that the Eagles have to do as you enter 2024 is get Jalen Hurts back to being the player that we saw in stretches in 2023 last year. Feels like the end of that Bills game is when we lost the great Jalen Hurts. And the player that we saw at the end of 2022, a dynamic top 5 quarterback. That's what Jalen Hurts was. If this team is going to go back to a Super Bowl this year, next year, whenever, it's going to have to be because their quarterback is playing at an elite level, i.e. Jalen Hurts needs to get back to being the player that we saw him last year, parts of last year, and at the end of 2022. That's where he needs to be. That's what they need. So how do you do that? You give him as many weapons as possible, and you make sure the offensive line is good. Now, the offensive line disappointed last year, no question about it. They need to get back. Lane Johnson there. Landon Dickerson, biggest extension in history for a biggest deal in history for an offensive guard. He's going to be going forward. Mailata has been good, but he hasn't been great. I think Juergens slides over to center and is going to be perfectly fine. And that now they need to add a guard. They need to draft a guard. They need some depth on the offensive line. It's a little bit of a concern. But you look at the Eagles' skill position players, and I'll put them right up there against anybody in the league, any team in the league. Maybe not the best, but in the conversation. I'll probably go Miami because they have a number of running backs and a number of wide receivers. But this is a special group. This is a good enough group to go and win the Super Bowl. Got to get Jalen Hurts back there. And that's the most important thing, getting him confidence back. And Kellen Moore comes in. And I think Kellen Moore also played a role in saying, hey, I really want Saquon too. Here's how I'm going to use him. Look how he uses his running backs, at least how he did in Dallas. He's going to use him in the passing game. I can't understand why the Eagles can't get anything going in the passing game from these running backs. Swift was supposed to be a good running back out of the backfield as far as the receiving game. And I heard Nick Sirianni say this before, how they don't, or somebody said it, they don't practice the screen game. When was the last time that this was a good screen team? Certainly with Andy, but it doesn't seem like Jalen does it very well. I don't know if it's an offensive line issue that they don't sell it well. I don't know, but it can be a huge weapon. And so can just the passing game to the running back. So I love it. Is it risky? I don't know if it's risky. Of course there's a risk, right? But you can't say that you didn't upgrade your football team today with Saquon Barkley. This is the best situation you've had in the running game since LaShawn McCoy was here. This is the first 3 down back that you've had since LaShawn McCoy was here. He doesn't have to come off the field. He can come off the field because give Gainwell or whoever a series or two so he gets a little bit of rest. I don't want to totally wear him down, but man, you just added a dynamic to your team today that is difficult to find. There's a reason why he was the second overall pick in the draft. I'd never use the second overall pick on a running back, but he's that kind of talented, Saquon Barkley. So I love it, and it makes this team better. Bryce Huff, though, not necessarily in love with it. He's a player who has developed nicely. He had 10 sacks last year, had 7.5 sacks combined in his first 3 years, undrafted player from Memphis. Here's what the Eagles have done with this signing. They are betting on his upside. They believe what they saw last year, or what he did last year, including a 1.5 sacks against the Eagles. He also had 2 sacks against the Patriots, the final game of the season. So if you look at the game logs, it's like, all right, where's he getting some of these sacks from? I can't tell you that I studied a lot of Jets film or I watched a ton of Jets game outside of whatever was on Red Zone. So I don't know if Bryce Huff is good, or he compiled a lot of these sacks against offensive tackles that sucked. But you're betting on his upside because $51 million for 3 years, this is going to be your highest paid edge rusher. Josh Sweat, you heard over the weekend that they're taking calls on Josh Sweat. Yeah, that's code for we'd love to trade this guy. Hassan Reddick, could he be gone? This gives you the idea that he could be gone. You're a better team with Hassan Reddick than with Bryce Huff. I have to even look down to see what his name is because I'm not even sure what his name is. But so don't love it. And I'll be the first person to say I'm wrong if they just signed a player that ends up the upside that they bet on, that he turns into a double-digit sack guy every year. That's what they're betting. That he's going to be their best pass rusher and he's going to have the most sacks on the team. He's a double-digit pass guy. So he's not on the field a lot. He's terrible against the run. So one of the worst edge rushing run defenders in the league. Say that real fast. So he's not an every down player. He's not good against the run. He's a situational pass rusher. And maybe he plays a little bit more here as a runner. Maybe he can improve that. But this is what you're getting. And if he gets 10, 11, 12 sacks a year, no one's going to care. And the Eagles aren't going to care. Because he's not going to play a lot against the run. They throw the ball a lot in this league. But it's a little bit of a turnoff that he didn't play a lot. That he didn't have a ton of snaps. Like 30% of the snaps or something last year. So anyway, not a terrible signing. This is the type of deal that teams were going to give him. The Eagles always value that pass rush. And They were not happy with how it ended last year. I could look at it and say, well, they got to the quarterback a lot more the year before, so maybe this was a coaching thing. Maybe Jonathan Gannon really isn't the biggest boob in the world, and he knew what he was doing. Maybe a combination of both. But Sweat disappeared at the end of last year. So we'll see if he's here. We'll see if he's traded. We'll see what happens with the rest. Still very early. Free agency hasn't even started. Keep that in mind. None of these deals are official, including the Saquon Barkley deal. Here's what confuses me with the maybe it's not true, but with the Saquon Barkley thing. Before they signed Barkley, before the news came out, there was a story that was floating out there that the Eagles made an offer to Swift before the start of free agency. Now, or before the start of the tampering period. I don't know why they would do that. And like, if they made an offer that they said, hey, listen, if he takes this offer, then we're okay. But if he doesn't take this offer, then we pivot and we go to Saquon Barkley. That doesn't make sense. It feels like they targeted Saquon Barkley because they wanted Saquon Barkley. This wasn't hey, Swift, we'll offer you 2 years, $8 million. Oh, you don't want that? Okay, then we're going to give $37 million to Saquon Barkley. I don't know. It just seemed weird that they wanted to sign Swift, or they made an offer to Swift, and then they pivoted to giving kind of like overpaying Saquon Barkley. I don't know. That was a little bit weird to me. Last thing, and then we'll say hi to Delco Steve. So when they drafted Landon Dickerson, however many years ago now, well, he's going into his fourth year, which is why they signed him to the extension. I was so against the draft pick. It was a high second round draft pick on a player that couldn't stay healthy. Remember, he was like, oh, they drafted a center. I never believed that he was going to be a center because he's so damn big. But they drafted him. A lot of people thought he was going to be a center because he played center in college. But he also had a significant injury history. And I hated the pick because I don't like to draft young players that get hurt all the time in college. And damn it, man, that was a hell of a pick. Landon Dickerson has been a Pro Bowler. He really has stayed healthy. I don't know how many games he's missed as an Eagle. I guess I should have looked that up. But for the most part, he has been really healthy, and he's been a really, really good player. That's why he gets the biggest contract or maybe the highest average annual salary in as an offensive guard in league history. So he has earned it. He's a great player. It's amazing what NFL players are making these days, and they deserve it because they don't get guaranteed contracts like these other sports. But Howie Roseman, and I was so mad. I was actually as angry at the Jalen Hurts pick too, and I still would argue that was a terrible draft pick. But Howie's gotten some picks right. Landon Dickerson was one of them. Would have been very easy to say, nah, man, too much of a risk with the injuries. No, Landon Dickerson, that's a great pick. So hats off to Howie, and congratulations to Landon Dickerson, who, by the way, Delco Steve, I crushed in Cup down in Sea Isle at Jason Kelsey's event. Landon Dickerson was wearing nothing but overalls, and I led off with the winning team, and we beat him.
I would say, I guess that's not part of the contract. His flip cup skills.
It is not. Well, actually, I think he might have been pretty good, but he gave.
You're just that much better.
Well, no, Todd Harriman's was terrible, and he was second. Todd Harriman struggled a little bit, and then Dickerson. Well, I have to go back and watch the tape. I'm not sure, but anyway. All right, Delco Steve, what do you think, man? We talked about this at the end of last week. We both believed the Eagles wanted to do it. We played what Tiki Barber said about don't do it. And him and Tiki were going back and forth. We'll play some of that today. But we believed it, and it was true. And you said this, and you were so right. He's a vindictive MFer. And he wanted to go to the Eagles in part. Yes, he wanted to go to the Eagles in part because he was ready to shove it up the Giants' nose.
I know what I said about the deal. Swift got the deal I said I would have done for Barkley. Obviously, I know I was lowballing the hell out of that. But my issue is, I know you said it's pretty much a guaranteed 2-year deal, but if he gets to that $47 million number, that's a big price tag. I would love to know what the incentives are for that.
So let me, and you know what? If he gets to the,
that means he's killing incentives,
it. It's a good thing,
right? But if the incentives are good, if it's just he clips 1,000 yards,
so here's what happens. I would say there's a very low chance that he gets to the final year, and here's why. and we'll see, because how they'll structure the contract. I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but the $26 million guaranteed tells you that it's 2 years guaranteed, and then they'll put a huge salary cap number in that third year to where if they want to keep them, they'll extend them. They won't end up paying that money because it'll be so much. And it'll be like, all right, then that's really where it becomes the poison pill. Like, hey, listen, you need to cut them or you need to re-sign them so it lowers the cap number or whatever.
What, it'll be 30 at that point, or 29 going on 30?
Yeah, something like that.
Because he's 27 now.
And honestly, like, who cares about the third year right now? Right? Like, if you're still talking about bringing him back in his third year, that's awesome. That means he's been really good. Right? If not, then it's kind of like, all right, Saquon, like, you can stay healthy or like whatever the case may be. But yeah, like, this is really, it's a 2 year. It's the same thing with Swift. It's a $16 million guaranteed. So he's probably not going to be with the team in the third year, or it's going to be on a new contract. But anyway, so it's more money than I expected. Definitely. I was surprised, but also at the same time happy that the Eagles were willing to go top of the market and weren't just waiting to say like, hey, well, if he doesn't have a huge market and we can get him for 30 over 3 years, then we'll do it. No, they didn't mind paying top of the market because they obviously targeted him. That's why I don't believe that the Swift thing, they offered him a contract, doesn't make sense.
They clearly targeted him, especially you see how the dominoes fell afterwards with Jacob signed afterwards, Eckler signed afterwards.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Tony Pollard was like around the same time as Barkley's news came out. So
yeah, they set the market.
Who knows where that came in first or second? But yeah, obviously they set the market, and then things trickled down after that.
Well, so I mean, the Bryce Huff thing we talked about offline a little bit. We both had the same reaction, which was like, all right, well, yeah, he had a good year last year, but 7.5 sacks his first 3 years, not an every down player. It's a lot of money to give to a player. So unless he's getting, what's an 8 sack guy? If you get 8 sacks a season, is that about the going rate for an 8 sack guy? It's around 10 sacks.
And that's the thing. Is it 8 sacks and it's just what Huff does, or is it 8 sacks and he's an all-around player? You get those different numbers.
So with Barkley, and it was obviously make over 10. I don't disagree, but also he wouldn't be the first player that made more money on his franchise tag and then came back and there wasn't the market. The difference was the running back market was good this year. $16 million guaranteed for Swift on a short contract is good money. If you think about what some of these running backs have gotten in recent years.
I mean, look what Eckler got with the Commanders. He got nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and we both agree that Eckler's a more accomplished player than Swift, even though Swift has more potential at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Eckler had 60 or 30 something touchdowns in the last 2 years going into, or previous 2 years before last season. And he got shot down over and over again.
So I didn't listen to sports radio today. I actually watched the first time that I've ever watched Best Show Ever, because my buddy Bill Colarulo was doing it this afternoon with Ricky Bo. So I checked it out. I love the question mark. Bill was slaying it. Yeah. Best show ever? But Bill was slaying it. He's on again tomorrow too. If you haven't checked him out, Bill Colarulo, who does weekends on the Fanatic. He's awesome. He was killing it today. He was awesome. So I checked him out a little bit. But what was like the reaction? I was surprised heading into the day how many people didn't want Barkley and they wanted Swift back.
Well, I couldn't tell from my timeline that anyone wanted Swift because I had Barkley all over my phone all day from everyone and anyone.
Oh yeah, me too. I was in the grocery store this morning and I saw one of the guys. He doesn't work at Wegmans, but he's like, he doesn't work for Pepsi, but he works for one of the companies that they come in and they bring their stuff or whatever. And I see him almost every week. So I saw him. I'm like, what do you think, Barkley? And he was like, I want Patrick Queen. I want defense. I don't want to overpay for Barkley. So I'm like, shit. Like, how come nobody wants a running back anymore? This used to be the prime position in football. This was the star position.
I still would have rather drafted one.
Yeah, but they can't draft a running back.
Well, I want a GM that could draft a running back. How about that?
Michael Richmond's great. Michael, I completely agree with you 100%. It was refreshing to see them go out and spend the money and do it right away and not worry about waiting around and trying to get the right price. Because you know what happens then? you probably lose out. Houston was interested. There was going to be a team that was going to give them what the Eagles were giving them. It was just a matter of whether or not you want to do it. And the Eagles and Howie do a really good job of saying, you know what? No, I'm not going to overspend. This is what we're willing to do. Or we're going to wait and see to where, you don't know if the agent came back and said, hey, listen, Houston's interested. We're going to sign with them, but we want to play with you guys. And Howie was willing to do it. I can see something like that happening. Yep.
Get close to that number. I can definitely see that happen. Yep. You don't have to match it. You don't have to beat it. Get close to it. I could definitely see that happen.
Yep.
And then him, like we were talking about earlier, being vindictive and wanted to come play here and beat the Giants.
Right. Yeah. Which he clearly wants to do because he's already, him and Tiki are already going back and forth, which is pretty amazing. But I mean, and Vince, I remember when they signed Ricky Waters, this was also more of a running back league when they signed him. That was 1995 when they signed him, Ray Rose's first year. And Ricky Waters was an amazing workhorse, great player, great signing by the Eagles. It's 30 years later, 30 years. Is that 30 years ago? 30 years ago they did that. All right, well, I can't count that. If it's 30 years ago, Telco Steve. It's a long time ago.
All right. 4 years old.
So here's a Giant fan, Sean from Pine Hill. Eagles overpaid a running back because he's great at picking up the blitz. He overplayed Barkley, lost out on McKinney. Saquon can play defense. I mean, you can put him back there for a couple snaps. Dion did it, right? You're a Giant fan.
A linebacker. You can be a linebacker.
You're a Giant fan, so we're gonna all see, right? Like I have one of my best friends is a Giant fan from Staten Island, New York, and the text chain was going on. Our fantasy football text chain was going on, and I'm not the type of person that would text and be like, "F you, we got Saquon." Well, like he commented before, and he was like, "It's a good signing for the Eagles. Like it's a really good signing for the Eagles," and he hates the Eagles. But it's like
I appreciate fans like that can call a spade a spade.
Yeah, it's a really good signing for the Eagles. Does Saquon Barkley make sense for a team that's not ready to win right now? No, of course not. They'll sign Saquon Barkley for the Bears. That's why I didn't understand what they did with Swift. They signed Swift for. They have a rookie quarterback. It's like just build. Don't give that kind of money out there. Like they build in different spots. Use that money in different spots.
They had money to burn though too.
No, I know, but roll it over to next year. Like DeAndre Swift got overpaid. Sorry, I would never have given him that contract. And Saquon Barkley got overpaid too. Yeah, first 1,000-yard season, and he was good, but Saquon Barkley's dynamic. Now it might end up blowing up in their face. It could. It's to me, it's worth the risk.
Do you bring in another running back?
And
I mean, like someone that actually takes snaps from Barkley.
Other than Gainwell? Well, Gainwell, they tried to start Gainwell over Swift.
Yeah, that's upset. You know my opinion on Gainwell. He needs to go. That made no sense to me in the moment when they were trying to start Gainwell over Swift anyway. But what the hell does Gainwell bring that Barkley doesn't bring? I don't even know what type of back would be the right complement to Barkley, but I don't think it's Gainwell.
I don't know, like a bigger back between the tackles bag. I don't. Yeah, I just think you need good players
because Gainwell does what Barkley does, and Barkley's a million times better at it. Here's
the reality: drafting a running back that can play makes the most sense because if Barkley's only here for 2 or 3 years, then he's still on the team and ready to start by the time Barkley's out of here.
Correct.
And let's be honest, looking at Barkley's playing history, there's the chance is good that he's going to be injured. So get somebody that can play. Just don't have Gainwell and
exactly. That's what you need. Someone. That's exactly what I'm getting at. You need another playmaker that can step in when Barkley is potentially hurt.
TJ Duckett is available. You're funny, Vince, because that's TJ Duckett used to be the guy that all the fans wanted. Like, you need a big back like TJ Duckett.
Pollard already signed with the Titans.
Pollard signed with the Titans. Good contract for him. They don't even know who the quarterback is yet, do they? Will Levis?
Yeah, it's gonna be Levis.
Stinks.
We'll see. Came in and balled out his first couple games. He balled out his first couple games. And I only know that because I had his yardage bets.
No, I know it's because of bets. The first my picks on the Fanatic this year, I was when my last show on Marks and Reese, I think it was 15 games over 500. And that's with picking 4 games a week, the Eagles game and then 3 other games. I was on fire this year. Will Levis's first start, I said I'm betting against the Titans specifically because I think Will Levis blows. And that's what, and he came out and he had the game of his career.
Yep.
I was like, holy crap, I can't believe this. He sucks. He sucked by the end of the year. He's 10-cent head.
I don't know. I'm not ready to write him off yet.
All right. Well, there you go.
We'll see.
So what? So CJ Gardner-Johnson, I don't think he's going to be back. Honestly, I don't know if I believe this whole thing that Howie's infatuated with him or whatever. We'll see. They're not going to overpay to get him. He was injured again last year too. So
yeah, he missed majority of last season actually.
So the Giants signed John Runyon Jr., which is odd considering the history he had against his dad had against the Giants.
I wanted him. I wanted him to be the new right guard. That was
they can't afford. They can't afford to pay a lot of money.
He got 3 years, $30 million.
Yeah, dude, they can't afford a $10 million lineman. They're paying everybody on offense. No. Yeah, Devontae needs a new contract, bro.
I feel like $10 million for a guard is a pretty good deal at this point in time.
I think it's a smart signing for the Giants. Burns, they traded a second and a fifth.
I love that.
And they gave him a huge contract.
I love that trade for the Giants. Burns is a beast. He's a tank. I've been watching him for almost a decade now because he was at Florida State. He's just a freaking tank. I would have done that. If Howie had pulled that off today, I would have changed my.
There were a lot of teams. There were a lot of teams interested in Burns for sure.
They turned down 2 first-round picks last draft or last trade deadline. Not this season, the season before. They turned down 2 first-round picks, and then they traded them for a second and a fifth. I mean, Howie definitely could have won me over with sweeping that one up, especially in a year where they have 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, but you pay $150 million.
I'll pay him $150 million. It's only $100 million if you get rid of Huff.
Yeah,
for a way better player. Way better all-around player.
Right. Yeah, well, I actually
they broke up.
I'm not going to say. I know. I'm not going to say who, but I have a friend whose niece is Will Levis's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, really?
Yes, correct. So I heard all about Will Levis. Like I can get him on. And I'm like, I hate Will Levis. First of all, I hate Will Levis. I don't like Penn State, but I hate Will Levis. I knew I never believed in him. Every Kentucky game I watched, it was like this guy's putting up empty stats. He sucks. No, I don't know why I hate him so much, but I just root against him. So that's mean. Anyway, yeah. So like all in all, day one. What's the other thing? Zach Bond. I know you're a big Zach Bond fan, Delco Steve.
I know a lot of players and a lot of obscure names in the NFL that people don't know. That is one I do not know.
I never heard of him before. Primarily a special teamer and also a part-time defensive player, which is great. They need a guy like that. They can be very. I haven't seen how much money they gave him, but probably not a lot. But you can, they can be very. They leave it like this. They know they still have to get a couple of linebackers, if not like starting linebackers on the team. This isn't to solve that. This is depth and this is special teams. And I think he's going to play more off the ball in Vic Fangio's.
Yeah, I don't have
at least that's what I read.
It.
Yeah,
I don't
whatever.
have a number released yet either.
It's a whatever.
It's probably a minimum.
Probably a million and a half or so. Yep.
Their typical linebacker move.
Overpaid to get it? Or no?
No.
Dickerson.
No way.
Just that's the going rate for a Pro Bowl.
He's a stud.
Yeah.
I
mean, you can.
And his health has been great since he's been here. He's only missed a handful of games.
I can't argue with spending money on the offensive line, especially on a young ascending player that is, by all accounts, he's part of the glue on the offensive line. And I hate how the season ended last year, but the Eagles are at their best when their offensive line's great. And we saw that before. So
we mentioned that last week that he was going to get a huge contract.
Yep. Yeah, no. However, the Eagles are smart. for all the shit that the organization gets when things go south, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. The Eagles know what the hell they're doing. All right. So let's hope. Let's hope that the Bryce Huff. Bryce now becomes does he become the most notable Bryce in Philadelphia at this point? I can't think of another one.
I'm gonna have a strong feeling that the answer is no.
I'm sure Jack used that today on the air. I didn't hear it, but anyway. Well, I mean, all in all, for the first day, we'll see what happens with Saquon. I love the fact that the Eagles said, F it, we're going out, we're paying top of market for Saquon Barkley because we think he can be the missing piece or another dynamic piece of this offense. You win in this league when you have a great offense. Right? And they have a lot of work to do on defense. No question about it. He was my question to the guy at the grocery store. Is like, defense. Like, where are they spending all this money on defense? I mean, they're not going to spend for another corner. Maybe they draft a corner. Maybe they'll grab one of the safeties that's out there. I still doubt that. I don't think they're spending top of the market on a safety. And
I would love a Simmons deal somehow. A Simmons deal would be awesome in my opinion. But like I said, I don't think it's going to happen.
Jesse Palmer of NFL Network had said earlier today, and I think this was before they signed Saquon, he had said that the Eagles are very much interested in Simmons. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if that's agent speak or that's kind of the word around the league. I'm not saying – I'm just saying I'd be surprised if they were willing to sign him. And you know what? I would be very happy to be wrong on that.
Because he was with Denver when Fangio was in Denver. So that would be an easy connect the dots kind of thing.
No, you know what? If
I could see him wanting to play I could also see him wanting to play for Fangio again because he was right. He was an all-pro under Fangio.
No, agreed. No, actually, it's a great point that if Fangio says, go get me this, then you should go get him. Right? Like if he's saying this is what I need my defense, this isn't a rebuilder or a step back here for the Eagles. They're going for it. So Howie's got to try to reconstruct everything that was wrong with the team at the end of the year. I agree with you, RJ. That's an overpay for Swift. Kevin Byard, 2 years, $15 million. Like, did he look like a 2-year fit? And by the way, that's really going to be a 1-year contract because that's not guaranteed for 2 years. That'll be if he comes back.
Yeah.
Like, that's not guaranteed that second year. But still, did you have any interest in bringing Byard back after what you saw last year?
Nope. I thought he was going to be a great move. I thought he was going to be a great pickup, too. I thought he was really going to help that secondary.
And he came in, if you remember, he was saying there's leaks all over the place. I think he came in and was like, what the bleep is wrong with this team right now? Like everything. He was supposed to be the
Well, he came in the middle of the shit show. He came in the middle of the shit show. I mean, he definitely was put probably into a rough situation. Oh, here, learn this defense and, all that. Why everyone's mad at each other, everyone's fighting with each other, and shit isn't going our way anyway. But yeah, he didn't help at all.
He didn't help. That's for sure. He didn't help. But it's the whole. You're right. The whole defense did suck at that point. All right, so day 2, and just a reminder that this isn't. These deals aren't official, so anything can happen. As we learned with, remember the famous Eagle that didn't become an Eagle,
Frank Gore,
and they ended up signing what's his name instead, right? DeMarco Murray.
I was going to say, was that the DeMarco Murray year?
Yeah, it was DeMarco Murray. That's how they got him. Yep. Frank Gore gone.
Let's run those wide zones to DeMarco Murray over and over and over
again, or let's try to run a
Darren
over and over.
Or Darren Sproles right up the middle.
Brutal. All right, so overall, everybody, and I want to see on the comments here. And make sure you like and follow and comment and subscribe at John Marks Media. Do we like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. So we give a thumbs up for the first day. I love the Saquon Barkley signing just because the Eagles said, we don't give up. We don't give an F. We want this guy. We're going to make sure we get this guy. And that's what matters. Isn't that what we want from the Eagles? Isn't that what we're always saying about the Eagles? Like, they're always looking for a deal or cap space or whatever. Man, this team signs everybody. They spend a ton of money. I'm ecstatic about it.
Yeah, I mean, how can you argue with it? They got a premium player at a premium position at a position of need for us.
Yep, and they paid a lot of money for it. But
if he stays healthy, it's going to be worth it.
Yep. And we'll see about Huff, right? Like, I don't think the Huff thing was what the bleeper they're doing, because they were mentioned with Huff for the last week. So I'm not surprised. And here's the other thing. I didn't break down the Jets tape. I don't know what the hell he looked like in all the games. The Eagles did, right? So they're projecting this guy turns into Hassan Reddick type. Because he's not going to be here. Is he there this year? Maybe he's going to be here this year, but he's not going to be here going forward. This guy's going to be here going forward. So at least for the first couple of years.
I was going to say, it's pretty much the same thing as Barkley. It's a guaranteed 2-year deal.
So is it now? Is it wait and see and let the market calm down, and then you go back in with the secondary market? You can still get a good player that thought they were going to make more money, and then it just wasn't there. So now they have to kind of reset and say, okay, we're not getting the money we thought. Who are the teams that are interested now? Let's try to salvage it. Right. Or, I mean, do you expect another aggressive Howie move? I don't.
I can't see what player. I don't know what player would be worth it for Howie to take. Well, I don't think he's going to be a premium paid player. Do you? He's 30. He's not.
I mean, I'm not talking about 5 years, $75 million or anything like that.
If he got
about 2 for 20.
He's going to get more than 10. You think he's got to get more than 10 million a year? You would think. Safeties are up to like 14 million now.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But if you could get him for a 2-3 year deal around 11, 12, that would be where I'd be looking. But I can't see him spending more than that on another one of these high end talented guys.
All right, I'm looking for a comp.
Unless Fangio wants him.
Looking for a comp here for a 30-year-old. Like a Budda Baker who wanted a new contract. His last year is 2025. Budda Baker he's making close to 15 a year.
I love
and
Budda.
he had 22 million guaranteed at signing. So
he's a stud.
You're gonna have. I think you're gonna have to go. Yeah, you're right. You're gonna have to pay him. And
I don't think you have to go. I don't think you have to go to that number, but you probably have to go to 12
or more.
I wouldn't go more than 12. But if Fangio, personally, I wouldn't go more than 12. But if Fangio said I want him, then you get him.
Yeah, so that's the other big question is now what happens with Reddick or Sweat? Because when story came out that
they have to trade one now.
The Eagles were taking calls, and you can't even see my air quotes. They were taking calls on Sweat. Like, all right, what do you mean they're taking calls? Like, this is obviously put out there to let it be known that they were looking to deal Josh Sweat. That's why that gets put out there. So Howie doesn't have to call everybody. So then the team says, Josh Sweat, you give him a call, send him a text or whatever. That shows you that they want to get rid of him. Final year of a contract. They probably don't want to re-sign him. And they'd like to get something for him now. He has that double-digit tax, so it's not like he's a bum. It's just that last year he wasn't. I still like him too, but
so everyone's pointing to him tailing off at the end of the last season. Everyone tailed off at the end of last season.
See, I don't know if Sweat gets you more because he's in the final year of a contract as well. So
Are we saying Sweat to Reddick or Reddick?
Yeah. Well, so if you put both of them on the trade market.
I think Sweat would get more than Reddick.
Why?
He's younger.
Yeah, but he's in the final year of a contract. You have to sign him to a contract for it to matter.
They're both in the final
year
of a contract.
Right. But you could wait for Josh Sweat and get him for nothing via free agency next year. Yeah. So you're trading for him. But Steve, I agree with you. You're right in that a team that wants to trade for him probably wants to give him a contract extension.
Yeah.
Especially the guy the age of Josh Sweat.
Kind of what the Bears did with Montez Sweat last year, which was idiotic in my point of view.
Well, I agree. I think you just pay, but they wanted to make sure they got him, but they gave up a lot to get him.
They gave him a second-round pick when they're terrible.
Yeah, well, they're the Bears after all. But Hassan Reddick is also one of the best edge rushers in the league. So if you're a team that is a playoff team, and you're looking to improve your pass rush, what you're doing is you're giving a draft pick to get him for a year, and you could sign him going forward. But unless you're going to give him a big money extension, maybe you just add on a year to it. But he's had 27 sacks in the regular season in the last 2 years. So if you're a team that needs an edge rusher, and you're because Reddick wants a contract extension with the Eagles. The Eagles obviously don't want to extend him based on what he's asking. So you're more or less renting him for a year unless you want to pay him that money right now. Hassan Reddick's a great player. So I'm not telling you you're going to get a high draft pick for him or a first-round draft. You're not going to get a first-round draft pick for him or whatever. But Josh Sweat's the same way. Unless you're like salivating to give him a contract extension, well, what are you getting for him?
For either, I was going to say, at most for either one of them, you're probably getting a third if you're lucky.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, maybe. But you know how these things go. If you don't get those kind of trades, then they just end up cutting these guys, and it's semantics anyway at that point.
Yep. Jalen Reagor, a 1-year deal, going back to the Patriots.
They gave Bourne 3 years, $33 million, which I'm like, I know like receivers are getting paid now.
But dude, I saw the same thing.
What the hell did that dude do to get $11 million a year?
Look at his
best year was like 800 yards is like his best season.
He got hurt last year. He was on pace to he was doing well last year. He got hurt.
He had 400 yards in like 8 games.
I know. He's hardly been a great player.
The fact that you could get over $10 million for that kind of production is astounding now.
I want to see how much that contract is with was it Bourne? Who was it in the Patriots again? I forget.
Bourne. Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah. Like what's the guarantee on that? If they gave him a big guarantee, like
I think it was like 16 million.
Against?
I think it was like 16 million.
Bidding against? Yeah. Was that what it was? 16 million anyway.
It's still ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Well, Gabe Davis got 3 years, $39 million. And so that's only,
that was $20 million guaranteed, right?
Yeah. But he's a way better player than Kendrick Bourne is, and he's not even that great.
My buddy battles a Buffalo Bills fan, and he hates Gabe Davis because he says that he always drops routine passes. But when I watch on Red Zone, he makes some spectacular catches.
Well, yeah, you catch the game where he has 4 catches for 3 touchdowns and 250 yards.
Yeah, he's talented. So we'll see.
Oh, he either pops or he does nothing.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I overdrafted him in fantasy last year, maybe. Yeah, say with you.
Oh, well, the Kansas City Buffalo playoff game where he went bananas was the last thing you saw of him. And then it's just like, oh, he's going to do that all next year. Let's go.
Nope.
All
right. So a couple other non-Eagles notes here. How about the Russ bus, Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh?
To the Steel City, baby.
I think it's a good signing.
I just laugh. I just laugh at the idea of his personality in Pittsburgh. It's just like
with those yinzers up there.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna eat him alive. He's gonna just be like all positive and like bubbly, and they're gonna be like, "Nah, dude."
I feel like they're gonna be like, "Holy shit, this guy's so much better than Kenny Pickett." Because if they have a B-level quarterback last year, the Steelers are a really good defense. They have good wide receivers. I don't like Najee Harris at all. Their offensive line's never really great, but if they had a good quarterback, they're a good quarterback away. Now, I don't think Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback at all anymore, and his stats last year were probably better than he actually played. And he's not going to have Sean Payton there as his offensive coordinator, which is either a good or a bad thing. His numbers look good last year. But I think it's a great no-risk signing for the Steelers. Yeah. And if Kenny Pickett's feelings are hurt, tough luck, kid. Obviously they don't believe in you or they're willing to bring somebody else in. You can't go with Kenny Pickett for another year. The
fact that the Broncos are paying him $39 million this year, the Steelers have absolutely nothing to lose by giving him $1.2 million.
Yep.
And then you're getting a better, like if Pickett doesn't work out, this is probably the lowest year of his cap number. Or next year would be the lowest year of his cap number. But either way, it's still a low number.
Yeah, he's not making it.
Your quarterbacks are nothing against your cap hit. You can go get a stacked team.
Yep. No, you're right. Your quarterbacks are making. I mean, what could Pickett be making against the cap as a late first rounder? A couple $1 million, right? Like it's.
Probably in his third year, it's probably under 5. Because it's
whatever it is.
The 5th year is the year that jumps up.
Cap number this year is 3.8.
Yep. So you're paying two quarterbacks $5 million against the cap, and a $250 something million cap.
And it actually gives, because I I have a Steeler fan on the same text chain as the Giant fan, and last year he was being like, "Oh, that's all. They're gonna win. They're fine." Like you're not winning with Kenny Pickett, man. With Russell Wilson, at least you can make the, at least you can make the case. Like if he's a game manager and he's dynamic or whatever. So there you go.
They apparently are trying to trade Deontay Johnson too.
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass, Deontay. All right, so let's we got to do the Tiki stuff. So last week, we're going to assume that most people have heard, and here's what, and I can understand because like Saquon, and by the way, I don't know if Saquon's going to be a great match for Philadelphia. He seems a little finicky, if you know what I mean. But Tiki Barber's on the radio on WFAN, does afternoon drive. He's a giant, right? Like, so he went on and said that, like, don't sign with the Eagles. Don't do that to us. Don't sign with the Eagles. If you leave, go to Houston. Don't sign with the Eagles. And it got a ton of traction. I saw it everywhere. It was written about everywhere. And Steve, before we play his reaction today, because the signing went down shortly into their show, right? It was like 3:00, I think. So they were on the air for it live. So what was I just saying? Yeah. So like, did you feel like a lot of that was kind of theatrics last week? It was like kind of a radio bit last week. Not that he wasn't for real, but playing it up a little bit for the radio.
No, 100% playing it up. I think today he played it up today too.
I agree. Spike Eskin is his brand manager up there. He's still the program director of WFAN.
Oh, that's got to be great.
and I'm telling you, since Spike went up there, you'll notice that because WFAN didn't do this kind of stuff anymore. Tiki is Mr. Giant on that station, and this is this is how he should react, and I would have reacted the same way. So this is Tiki today after it comes down live on the air that Saquon Barkley is signing with the Eagles. Listen.
First of all, do you want to respond? Because there's something that jumps out at me that doesn't make sense.
Go ahead.
LOL, yep, you're the prime example of loyalty to a team. What the hell does that mean?
I have no idea.
Right, so
stop it.
I got tired of getting beat up and I left.
All right, so this isn't the reaction live on the air. This is after. So Tiki goes on the air and he says, "You're dead to us, Saquon. Good luck. You're dead to me." And it was kind of like, I heard him say it, and it was like, yeah, he was following up what he said last week. So Saquon fired back and said, "LO, yup, you're the prime example of loyalty to a team. I got the deal I wanted, secured more guaranteed money, which wasn't given to me before. So if the fans are going to hate me for that, so be it. But I never turned my back on my teammates and always had their back." And he said, "You've been a hater since I got to New York, and all the dead to me talk, don't smile in my face when I see you." So there you go. And here is after they see the tweet. Here's Tiki.
The game, and they, by the way, won a Super Bowl after that. What are you talking about?
Well, were you not loyal?
Right, I have no idea what he's talking about.
He didn't leave as a free agent going to Philadelphia.
No idea what he's talking about. But I guess someone, either him or someone else, because I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't write something as ignorant as that. It was somebody else trying to be snarky towards me. I've been retired for 17 years, 18 years. I am now in the media. The fact that my emotional reaction responding to you going to the Philadelphia Eagles, which is, by the way, the voice of a lot of Giants fans. I'd say the majority of Giants fans, and you're going to come back and talk about something from 17 years ago that you don't even understand or misrepresenting? That's fine. Be that way then. I like Saquon Barkley. And by the way, saying dead to me was basically tongue-in-cheek, but it is what it is. Get offended.
You've been a hater since I got to New York. Why have you been hating Saquon Barkley?
I don't even know what he's talking about. I've done nothing but support Saquon Barkley. I don't know what he's talking about. What does that mean?
But you do know what he's talking about. Tiki, he doesn't know you're saying it tongue-in-cheek. Like Steve and I were just talking about. This was a radio bit. Clearly, it was a radio bit. And by the way, Spike did a great job of making sure that somebody was out there representing this side of things. Because a running back for the Giants, whether or not the team wanted to pay him what he wanted or not, it doesn't matter to a Giant fan. Or maybe it does matter to a Giant fan. He's representing Giant fans that are saying, don't sign with the Eagles. Go sign somewhere else. Because you know what? Him signing with the Eagles is a direct shot. He's mad at the Giants for not signing him.
Yeah. The fans want him to get paid, obviously. They just wanted their team to pay him.
Yes. And Saquon feels a certain way. And by the way, I don't blame him. They put a franchise tag on him. They didn't give him the contract he was looking for. Maybe he could have gotten more money if he would have taken a contract. He said this is more guaranteed money than was being offered before. He waited it out and ended up paying up for him. See, like, I'm not going to criticize Tiki here because Tiki's on the radio and he's doing a shtick, right? Like, this is Tiki. Maybe, he was never, to me, he was never, like, he wasn't nasty about it or like the you're dead to me thing or whatever. Like, it never felt like it was personal. It never felt like a caller coming in yelling, "You're dead to me," or a non-former player, right? I was trying to think, what would Ike do in the same situation? What would Ike have done?
I don't think I could.
He wouldn't. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think he would have done it.
I think he would be like he would play it out as, I'm disappointed that he's going to Giants, Cowboys, Commanders, yada yada. But I don't think he would ever go. I don't think Ike is capable of playing something over the top that he's actually doesn't believe in.
Agreed. Yeah, no, he's Ike for the most part, unless the player doesn't deserve it, then Ike for the most part is always going to be pro player. And Tiki and Ike have been out of the league for I think Ike's been out as long. I think he's been out as long as Tiki. So all right, let's hear some more.
Got to be close.
Oh, you're asking me? I'm trying to figure out, like, what's he talking about? Because I said when he's a third down back that he can't be an all down back because he doesn't block in pass protection, which, by the way, was fact, right? That he's been hurt 3 out of his 6 years here. Like, what's he talking about? How am I hating?
That he didn't play through injuries when you had your arms casted up?
I'm not sure what he's talking about. Now, if he's going to pull this, I'm gone now, hate me if you want to, fine. We'll hate you. Right? You're not talking to me because I don't care. I've been retired for a long time, almost 50 years old.
He sounds so different than last week, though.
Sure, because Saquon, now it's the talk of the NFL. Saquon blasted him.
But he's just like, he sounds like he's got his tail between his legs now. It's like he picked a fight.
Sure
someone came back at him. Yeah,
And it's clear he doesn't really want to. He doesn't want to go back at him. Not that I know Tiki, but I've been around Tiki enough to know he doesn't want to go back and forth with Saquon. He doesn't want to fire back and say you suck and all this other stuff. Like, right there, what he said was like, there's another side to it. You've been injured a lot, right? But you could tell he was even saying that, being like, man, I don't want to tear this kid down, but like, these also are the facts, and they are the facts. It's one of the reasons why the Giants didn't want to pay him a lot of money. Probably, I don't blame him. So, I don't know. Pretty interesting, and it makes me happy. Makes me very happy.
I love it.
Did you see the Giants fans peeing on the Saquon Barkley jersey?
I saw your post about it on your story this afternoon.
Yeah, so
typical. That's any fan base.
I'm sure
do that nowadays.
Tomorrow, I'll have to scour online. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of Giant fan videos of people burning the jersey, but the guy put it on his bathroom floor. I don't know if he was pouring water or he was really peeing on it, but I don't know because he was peeing all over his floor then. He peed on the.
Yeah, here, I'm going to do a video to make something to make everyone laugh and then be like, oh crap, now I got to clean it up.
I got to see if I can find it real fast. No, not real far. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try to bring it up here. Actually, maybe it does look like a piss stream. All right, hold on a second.
Just stick to throwing them in the trash and lighting them on fire.
There we go.
Oh, he's got a towel down. He's got a he's thinking ahead. That's a pretty good fake pee stream if it's not real.
He's peeing.
He's gonna watch that and put it back on.
That's awesome. No, he's not. I'd be mad as hell if Saquon Barkley left it. See, because here's why. Here's why I'd be mad at Saquon Barkley. Because he had been injured three of 6 years. He really didn't live up to the potential of that second overall pick. And now you can tell that he's mad and he's being a dick on the way out. Because he feels a certain way because the Giants wouldn't give him the contract that he wanted. I wouldn't have given him that contract if I was the Giants. Right? Like the Eagles gave him a fair contract. He's a free agent and he's the missing piece. Where the Giants were, I wouldn't give him that contract either. So, well, I mean, I love it.
I'm willing to bet this season will be one of his first 2 seasons, his rookie or second year. He'll have that type of year this year if he's healthy.
So you think this is a year to draft him early in fantasy football?
If you think he's going to be healthy. I probably won't do it because every time I draft him, he gets hurt, and I won't put that juju on my team.
But just one more thing on the Tiki Barber thing. Tiki, I'm not sure what you thought his reaction was going to be. He doesn't know the context. He didn't know that it was tongue in cheek.
Yeah, he's seeing a headline.
He's seeing it on Twitter. He's seeing he's seeing it everywhere, and I'm sure he doesn't appreciate seeing that you're saying you're dead to me, or what you said last week. He doesn't get the radio bit, just like my wife doesn't get the radio bit when it involves her. He doesn't get the radio bit. He doesn't understand that he works for Spike, and Spike needs radio. He needs somebody on radio doing radio, right? So there you go.
Yeah, you know 100% someone texted him or something. It was like, oh, did you hear Tiki said you're dead to me? And that was it. And, and then he's just going to pop right off.
Yep. All right. This program is always sponsored by shopeverylittledetail.com for custom-made shirts of all types. Shopeverylittledetail.com. And my wife has killer stuff up right now. You should check out some Philly stuff and some other stuff as well.
We're going to get some Barkley gear? Some Barkley
Listen, she should already be working. She shouldn't be in bed sleeping.
She should be upstairs grinding those nails to the freaking bone.
Saquon, come on. We need some type of a theme shirt. Come on.
We got where the hungry dogs run faster. You bark. Come on. There's a lot of things there.
Also, email me, all the people, and I'm still getting back to some other emailers. I'll actually do it tonight. JohnMarksMedia@gmail.com. And that's the same, John Marks Media. Like, follow, comment, subscribe. It helps grow our Instagram channel. And there you go. I actually had a story that I was trying to get to tonight, but we were just yapping. No, we got time for it. There's no video. It's it's weird. Yeah, it's weird because normally with everything, why am I not having notes showing up on my thing? Come on. All right, here it is. So normally when you see, I have certain sites and certain places that I search for interesting stories that I think either are good on the radio or on YouTube. Like that's how I got what did we talk about last week that I saw?
The bad opinion or
no. There was a story last week that I found.
The Scorpions?
The Scorpions, stinging the guy on the balls
in
the hotel room in Las Vegas. So there's no news story to this, though, and I don't know why. Well, I actually do know why, but it's been written about. So a man in Green Bay, Wisconsin, taken into custody after a disturbance. According to a criminal complaint, he was arrested following an incident involving a gun. When officers got to the scene, 2 people were brought to a squad car and placed in the back. And then this gentleman was taken into custody, and he was standing outside with no shirt on. They said he appeared to be highly intoxicated. Go figure. His name, 42-year-old Deez Nuts Kroll.
No way.
His actual government name is
way.
DEEZ-nuts, last name Kroll.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, it is. Yep. One person said that Deez Nuts opened the door and punched them with a closed fist in the shoulder. This led to a physical altercation. At one point, Kroll got a gun took the gun.
Oh, they didn't just keep saying D's nuts the whole time?
Yes. It was a CO2 BB gun. It was loaded and had 8 silver 4.5 millimeter BBs in it. When authorities interviewed D's nuts, they claimed it was apparent he was talking in circles. Throughout the complaint, Kroll was referred to as D's nuts. He's charged with misdemeanor battery, disorderly conduct, use of a dangerous weapon.
You got battery for D's nuts?
Court records show that as an initial appearance, they said bond at $1,000.
Was D's nuts beating himself?
This was March 6th. I actually tried Googling to see if there was any social media for D's nuts Kroll, or like what kind of an asshole. He obviously had to have
got his name
changed his name legally. And when you see this guy, you wouldn't be surprised. Kind of looks like, oh.
Did you ever hear the kid's name from I think he's on Nebraska now. The coldest.
Yeah.
Go on, that's
get a lot,
awesome. But his middle name's to ever do it.
These nuts Kroll. I'm trying to pull up a picture of him. Yeah, he looks like he did it when you look at him. Let me see. I'm pulling her up right now. Sometimes you look at somebody and you're like, yeah man, he did it. There he is. There's D's nuts. And the fact that he was highly intoxicated, is that any surprise?
No.
Nope.
You're lucky if it's just alcohol at that point.
Yeah, usually that involves meth or something.
It's like Jonah Hill and Wolf of Wall Street. Come on, bro, smoke crack with me.
That's pretty funny. There you go. No, not Dietz nuts, like Dietz and Watson. No, not Dietz nuts. D's nuts.
D's nuts.
All right, a couple of things as we wrap it up. So when you're with your girlfriend in a car, do you refuse to wear a seatbelt, or are you a fraud and you wear your seatbelt?
If it's gonna beep, I put my seatbelt on in any car. But if it's not gonna beep, I don't wear it.
So what does she think about you not wearing your seatbelt?
Oh, she yelled at me.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I don't like seatbelts, man. I didn't think this was gonna be that big of a take.
It's a terrible take that you don't wear your seatbelt.
I didn't say it was a good one. I said I didn't think it would be that big of one. I didn't think it was going to get this much reaction.
There you go.
Vince, I'll wear my seatbelt when you retweet my tweets. You said you were going to retweet.
That's the other one, the possum and the raccoon getting run over.
Oh, yeah. I stand by the guy running over the raccoon.
By the way, of course you can get a ticket in New Jersey. You can get pulled over in every state. Of course you have to wear a seatbelt.
Dude, guess what I do? The first thing if I ever get pulled over, guess what the first thing I do is?
Yeah, but they know that, don't they?
Yeah. I have yet to. Look at this. Every time I've gotten pulled over, I've yet to get in trouble for not having my seatbelt on.
All right, there you go. And Vince retweeted you. Did you put out the tweet about your?
I didn't get a retweet.
So you put out a tweet about your sister's walk?
Yes, I did.
It's coming up in 2 Sundays.
He probably just did it.
I'm going to do it right now.
No, yeah.
I just
2 weeks from yesterday. 2 weeks from yesterday. Hopefully,
the
nice weather we're getting this week just continues for another 10 days, 2 weeks.
Oh man, it's gonna be nice tomorrow.
It's gonna be gorgeous the next 3 days.
All right. Well,
I got some reposts. I saved them. Good job, guys. Jeff,
everybody go on Twitter. Everybody go on Twitter and retweet it. And join us in a couple Sundays. Come out. Want to meet everybody. Let's go. Come out in 2 Sundays. Sorry, I'm doing this live. That's the only way I can make sure that. And join us.
I also don't have my notifications on, so I'm talking out my ass. So.
Me neither. I don't even look at my mentions.
No way. Probably have a lot. You probably have a lot more than me.
Yeah, I haven't looked at my mentions in years. Honestly, all right, this isn't the last time I looked at my mentions, but the last time I remember saying like I'm not doing this anymore, and I still would be very sporadic with it. Like if we had a show where my opinion was unpopular, I just wouldn't look at them because people are such dicks, and it's just not like You don't want to change your opinion. You don't want to get mad. And it's natural to be mad if people are being mean to you. So I just didn't look. But there's this one day I was sitting in the driveway, and I have cameras and stuff in my house, so they get alerts when I pull up in the driveway. So I'm sitting in my car arguing with this guy on Twitter, like going back and forth with him on Twitter. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Obviously something about sports or something stupid, right? And my wife's texting me, "What are you doing out there?" The kids are like inside,
watching the camera.
Daddy. It's 7:30. My youngest is probably like asleep already. My kids are out of the bed, like Daddy. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
I'm sitting here arguing with this guy instead of hanging out with my kids.
Yeah. Yep. It's been a really long time. I never really looked at my mentions, which is probably penalizing 90% of the people that try to have interaction with me. So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. The 2% that are dickheads then.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
They ruin it for everybody.
It is kind of penalizing, or it hurts myself that I just I can't live on Twitter. I can't. At one point I lived on social media, and I'm like, I can't do it.
It is a dark place.
Yeah, I just it makes me unhappy. I can't do it. So I try to interact as best as I can. I like Instagram, but anyway, yeah. If it was MySpace, I would definitely be down with MySpace. You don't remember? You were just born when MySpace came out.
That was my first social media. Was MySpace. I had a top 8.
Really?
Yep. And then it got ridiculous to top 32.
I was not arguing with Tony Bruno, Michael Richmond, but I swear to you, any tweet that's put out there, there's about a 30% chance that Tony Bruno is the first person that I see respond to it. Any type of an Eagles tweet. It was the Temple basketball tweet that Howard put out or somebody put out about the Temple basketball, the gambling thing. And Tony Bruno was the first person that had some kind of a wise ass trying to get you a laugh tweet. So there you go. Anyway, yeah, you're definitely too young for MySpace. Weren't you born in 2004?
I had a MySpace. I had a MySpace my freshman year of high school. 06.
All right. Yeah, so you're not that young.
32.
No, you're in your 30s now. Yeah, you're in your
32.
30s now. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So when we talk tomorrow night at 9:00, will the Eagles have another major signing? Yes or no?
Major, no.
B-level signing.
B-level, more than likely.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can see them doing something. Good. They're probably going to need a D tackle. I could see him trying to get something like that.
I don't think I wouldn't I'm not telling you that I'd be shocked if they signed somebody, but I think that they spent their initial money and now they're going to kind of wait the market out and they're going to try to get better value with how he's reading the market. We will see tomorrow night because then it won't even be the start of free agency. We still have a whole nother day of tampering, Delco Steve.
Yep. And we didn't even talk about the biggest move of the day.
What?
Kirk Cousins to the Falcons.
I brought up Russell Wilson. This guy's unbelievable how much money he's made in the NFL.
Yep. He got paid more than he's going to get paid more than Andrew Luck in the same draft.
Well, it's because he's still playing. Yeah, I mean, listen, good for Kirk Cousins. Maybe he makes them a playoff team. He's a playoff quarterback.
I think this offense could be the situation that puts him on the map for being getting the respect he deserves.
So you think that Kirk Cousins becomes the quarterback that people, because he throws for a lot of touchdowns, throws for a lot of yards, a lot of high completion percentage. He'll make the playoffs, but big games and things like that pretty much gives you nothing.
They're gonna have a lot. They're gonna have a lot of weapons on that offense.
It's a good signing for Atlanta. I don't know why not Justin Fields. People are sleeping on Justin Fields. Mac Jones goes for a 6th-round draft pick. You're going to probably be able to get him for a 4th, maybe.
Oh, I actually did hear
him a while ago.
I actually did hear something over the weekend. I wish I remember exactly where I heard it, but there was apparently some friction between the idea of Fields going back to Atlanta after how he left Georgia.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently, Kirby Smart, Kirby Smart and the Falcons have a close relationship or something. It was something along those. And Kirby Smart didn't have anything good to say about him. That was something along those lines. I wish I remember exactly where I heard it.
Interesting. Was it The Onion, Steve?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that bad this time. I swear. I promise.
All right, I'll have to look at that. All I'm saying is a team like the Vikings or another team that needs a quarterback, you're essentially getting Justin Fields under club control if you want him for 2 years because he has that 5th-year option, right? He's going into his 4th year.
Yeah,
Justin Fields, and he's shown me enough promise to where I think with the right coaching and the right team, he's a real talent. He's a real talent. Yeah, so he has a 5th-year option. Now it's a big option.
It's a big number. It's like $25 million.
But still, if you're giving up a mid-round draft pick, it's worth it. At least that's the way I look at it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one thing to pay $25 million and have it be your first-round bust. It's another thing be another team that gave up a 4th-round pick and pay him $25 million for a year.
All right, I will try to secure Herb this week for the show. He was unable last week because he was working, but he was calling me again over the weekend and texting me. So we'll try to get Herb on this week. All right, everybody, have a good night. If you're watching us live, otherwise, see ya. Appreciate it. And again, subscribe, like, follow, comment at John Marks Media, and follow Delco Steve on Twitter because if you follow him, he may tweet more. And again, retweet his sister's 5K run walk is coming up here in 2 Sundays. Give it a retweet, Gallo 3310. And we'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock live.